Hi guys, and welcome back to At Home with Elisa. Today I wanted to do an August garden tour. I wasn't sure if actually much had happened since my last garden tour, but it's amazing when you look back and you see the last video. Like, it's such a good way to keep track of things because so much has actually grown in and it looks so much better now. So I'm loving it. Spring is starting to crack through. We're getting some warmer days. It's still very chilly, like the wind is blowing and it is icy at the moment. We're having a polar blast, they're calling it. It's snowing only a few hours from here and it's a bit chilly, but it's just lovely to have some beautiful sunny days, so can't complain about that. Okay, so let's have a look around the garden. Okay, so I think the first notable change that we've actually made this month is we've just finished putting in a garden bed on the outside of the garden. This one will actually just house some, I have some Magnifica gardenia and some Avon View lavender that I'm planning to plant into here. And I'll just back up a bit because I do have plans in the future to put an arbor here, just there, going all the way up, over, square, down to this side, and then this section here will just be a little garden the same. And I'm going to have some pale pink climbing roses, I think, over the arbor. So that's the plans for the future. But we've just put this in just on the weekend. I've just filled it up with some mulch. I have some soil coming. It's basically in an effort to try and stop some flash flooding that we've had at our property. It kind of drains out this garden area over here, so hopefully this should help. And then just as you come into the garden, I've actually just redone this area and I absolutely love it. So I planted in these pink flowers here, are called Dianthus Jolt, and I absolutely love the height and the color that they give as soon as I walk into the garden. I absolutely love them. So they probably could do with a little bit of a cutback so that they can re-sprout, but I'm just loving them too much, so I'm leaving them be at the moment. And also just inside our orchard area here, we actually have a flowering plum. So this is one that won't fruit, but I tell you, the bees absolutely love it, and look how gorgeous it is. So this will get rather big. We had one of these at our last property, and I like to repeat things that we really loved at our last property to kind of, you know, bring them here without actually bringing the whole tree. But I absolutely love how beautiful it looks, so I cannot wait to see this mature over the years. It'll be stunning. Back to this garden bed, so I've planted out some lupin seedlings, which you can just see here. There's quite a few that I've planted out. We've still got our ostromerium, which has just come on so much in growth. I swear it's doubled the size in the last month. That's a beautiful pale pink and white flower. Some yarrow, so I transplanted some yarrow. It didn't adjust extremely well, it's just settling in now. Then just here, just inside the coop again, you can see the lavender is flowering beautifully. So we actually use this lavender in our nesting boxes for our chickens. When we change out the nesting box material, we actually just pick some lavender leaves and put it into the nesting boxes for the girls. So I'm planting on this garden bed here. That's another lupin plant just there. That's one that I started from seed last year. But I'm really hoping that this garden bed will be basically a bed of lupin and yarrow. So I've got another little yarrow transplant. This one here is called an Emeria. Look at that flower. So that plant, I actually was really concerned because it almost died out. They can tend to rot in the middle with lots of rain, and with all our flooding and our excessive rain, it turned brown and it only had a few little shoots of green leaves. So I'm lucky that it managed to come back. Another ostromerium. This one was again the same as the other one. It was bought from our last house as well. And then under here I have my most mature lupin, and here we have Georgie. She thinks that I've got snacks for her. She loves when I dig in this garden because I dig up grubs, give them to her. And this is our most mature yarrow that we've got, a beautiful daisy that my daughter picked for me. And just here I'm just training some Valerie Harrod sweet peas to grow up over the archway that leads into the orchard. So those Valerie Harrods are planted on both sides of the archway. The only other things, I haven't really planted a lot in this garden bed. I actually cleared it out not long ago, reason being is that this one actually floods by quite a bit when we do get our catchment overflow. So it's going to be a seeds only kind of garden bed, I'm thinking. But I did have some peas. Now last video I looked at these, they only just started climbing up the trellis, and look how big they are now. So this is my first ever time growing peas, and honestly I'm so excited. So the plans going forward is, after these peas have actually finished fruiting, I'm going to put in a large raised round cotton steel sort of bed, and it's actually can be used as a planter. And I'm going to put one of our fruit trees that's in our orchard, that isn't in a good spot in our orchard, I'm going to transplant it in there. So essentially it will have a beautiful lemon coming out from the center, which should look really lovely. And then I'll plant some cut flowers around it. I do have some cut flower seedlings already, so I'm hoping to plant those out around that fruit tree. And then just going from there, this obviously is the first half of the garden that is actually complete. So we have lost quite a bit of time to flooding and having to redo gardens, but the first half is pretty much complete. So as you walk in the garden gate, on the other side is one of my first, I call these the garden arbor garden beds, because there's a lovely big Rio mesh arbor with a seating area in the middle, and I've got some sweet peas trained up there, but I have quite a bit of potted colour growing here. Like these are lovely snapdragons. These are actually over a year old, and they just keep going and going and going. I did have some bulbs that I received, and I didn't have enough garden space and enough pots, so I just popped them in here. So these ones that are just popped up are trichonia cream, so I'll be interested to see what they actually come out like. And I've got the milkmaid nasturtium. I have quite a few of these because I absolutely love the buttery lemon colour, and they're such a good trap crop for bugs. So I have a few of those on each of the garden beds on the corners, just so they can trail over just like this. I also have some onions growing, so I do like to grow vegetables and flowers together. My goodness, it's windy out here. I do like to grow vegetables and flowers together. I've got some celery, which is going so well. So in here I also planted some anemones. I generally don't plant bulbs in the garden, but I had so many this year, I really overcommitted, so I needed to find places for them. So I have some white anemones that are doing really well. They've come up nicely. Coming along. Just some alyssum, sweet alyssum coming along. I've got some pansies. I really love pansies. Obviously quite a bit of garlic, which is going really strong, which is nice. And then look at this milkmaid nasturtium. This is one plant, and it is just growing up the arbor. It's starting to look a little bit ratty, but I'm still really happy with it. And I love how it trails out. So in this garden bed as well, I have these wooden markers. So each wooden marker stake represents a dahlia planted. So it's not dahlia season for us now. I tried overwintering them in the garden, so we'll see how that goes. And then just along the edges of both sides of this arbor, oh, there's a bee, buzzy bee. Just along the edges of both sides of this arbor, I have sweet peas, and I have quite the mix of sweet peas that I've actually growing here. So they're just starting to climb up the arbor now, which is lovely. And onto the second bed on the other side of the arbor, I like to repeat patterns. So I've got quite a few of the same sort of sweet peas. They're just starting to grow up the arbor. And again, I've got nasturtiums as well. Just here you can see I've got quite a few cornflower, which is also known as bachelor's button, and I also have some seedlings that really need to be transplanted into the garden just to add some more colour. And again here, a milkmaid nasturtium on the corner. I have a passion fruit that's planted here. I don't know what it is, but I have killed 3 or 4 passion fruit. I don't know why. I'm doing something wrong. This is the other one just up there. I kill them. I'm not sure why. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's not going great. And just here again, repeating the pattern, I have more garlic growing, some more bulbs that I had ordered. And I'll show you my gorgeous gerbera. Look at this one. Isn't that stunning? I love gerberas. I think I had a collection of about 12 going at one point, and we lost them with all the rain that we had, which is such a shame because I was loving them. So I've only just started mulching this garden bed. Obviously you can see I haven't finished, but I wanted to show you the garden as it is. So these are some black pearl lily bulbs that I had planted in this garden bed, and another gerbera which is just about to flower. And just here I had some ranunculus bulbs planted. As you can see, only one's come up at this point. So that's the garden from this angle. You've got the first garden as we came in the gate. You've got both of these ones here on either side of this arbor. I cannot wait. I need things to start growing over that arbor so it can hopefully present a little bit of shade on the inside for when we're sitting down in summer, if we get a nice hot summer. And then I'm just back here on the other side of this cutting garden, just as we came in. That garden bed that we installed, I'm actually looking at extending this one all the way along here. Now this is an actual gate, however it never really functioned well for us, and I'm actually going to use it as a climbing frame for cucumbers and rockmelon, I think. So I'll extend this garden bed all the way along here, obviously pull all that blue metal back, and then I'll have another garden bed to put some vegetables in and a great frame for climbing things. And just here I've got an alpine strawberry, and I had some miscellaneous bulbs that I hadn't labelled from last year, so I just planted them in there, and I'm just taking note of what they are so that I can group them all together. In this garden bed here I actually planted 70 ranunculus plants. They all were washed away in some flooding, so I have only had a few survivors come up. So I have great hopes, great hopes for just a few little ranunculus that have managed to survive. I have an asparagus corm, which honestly I don't know how that has managed to survive. It's hardly got any soil at all, but it seems to have sprung back to life. I thought it was dead and it's still going. And my first ever peony, I've never grown a peony before, but it obviously didn't wash away, so that was a nice surprise this week when it popped up. A few more ranunculus and another asparagus corm. Over here I've got some nice grape hyacinth, which are so cute. I've never actually had these before and I love them. And then some more hyacinth that I've got here, and a prostrate rosemary, and just here is the first tree that I actually saved out of our orchard from flooding. And as you can see, it is just absolutely, this was so diseased. It was under serious attack from scale and ants, but look at all those flowers. Very exciting. Just behind that mandarin tree, last year I actually had some cosmos growing here, and they say once you've had cosmos growing in one spot you'll always have cosmos, and I don't know if you can see, it's stunning. You see a flower popping up. So I do plan on putting those in that seed only garden bed. I saw them coming up and I thought I'll just leave them there till I'm ready to plant it out. So I will transplant those out and then I can mulch this garden. So that's actually one of the reasons why I haven't mulched this rose garden bed and also the flooded garden bed. We have had this garden looking nice. This will be the 4th time I'll be mulching and redoing this rose garden bed. So hopefully it's the last time to flooding. I mean, there's different things, you change things up and it's perfectly fine, but we lost everything through flooding, so everything just washed away. So I'm looking forward to mulching this and hopefully it being the last time that I really have to mulch it after flooding. Topping up's perfectly fine, but please no more flash flooding. So back to the aforementioned rose garden. I currently have obviously cosmos seedlings coming up. They just keep coming up, so I'll transplant those. But my bearded iris actually managed to survive all the flooding. Some of them are just sitting on the surface and obviously need some help. Look at this guy, he's sitting high and proud. But overall, the bearded iris fared really, really well with the flooding. This is my ebb tide rose that I have just planted. And my freesia. Now going along here, I have actually planted quite a few. It's just roses and just bearded iris. So it's a huge big garden bed of all different colour roses. Some of them have personal meaning, some of them don't. We just love the colour. But I'm looking forward to getting this garden bed looking really, really nicely. And this month I actually treated all my roses. We had to spray some lime sulphur just to make sure that we can try and fight off any fungal diseases for the growing season coming up. And then the last garden bed, which is actually currently being built, is our urn garden bed. So in the urn garden bed I have some garlic, strawberries and carrots are the main things. So again, on the ends I've got the trap crops of the nasturtiums. I've got the strawberries, which they're just a variety called Charlotte, and as you can see they're going really, really well. So I'm looking forward to a nice strawberry crop this season. And then I just have some carrots. Now I planted way too many carrots in our garden. I have way too many carrots in the freezer. So I'm actually thinking that I might just let these ones go to seed, or give some to the chickens. Look at the size of that. They're just popping out of the ground. So I have some lovely carrots, lovely garlic growing still in the middle. I did plant a whole heap of poppy seeds in this bare patch here and that bare patch there, but I think they actually washed away because they've never popped up. And then just here on either side of this urn, on all four sides actually, I've got planted a beautiful gaura, and it's just starting to come back from dormancy. Now these are absolutely stunning. They're a perennial, so I need to cut them back. I probably didn't cut them back quite hard enough this year, but they're just starting to come back. And when they actually are full grown, they're quite tall, and on the ends of them they have these beautiful little flowers which look like butterflies dancing in the wind. So I absolutely love them. I knew exactly what I wanted to put here, and I was very lucky to find 4 of the same variety. So this urn here is actually an engagement present, and we absolutely love it. It is a fully functioning fountain. However, we don't use it as a fountain. I don't have power down here. We just use it as a beautiful garden feature. And on the other side of the garden bed is exactly the same planting. It's a mirror image. So I have my garlic, lots and lots of carrots, strawberries, and again the milk-bade nasturtiums. So this is the area of the garden which obviously hasn't been built. My goal is this month, hopefully, we should be able to get trucks in now to be able to deliver some of the blue metal. We obviously had so much flooding we were unable to get any heavy lifting trucks in here to do deliveries. So hopefully now we should be able to get some in before the rains start again. And if I can just get this, even if it just all is blue metal, I will be extremely happy. So I have plans. Obviously we're just sort of starting a little bit. I've been collecting materials up the back there for a large in-ground garden bed. That garden bed at the back is quite large. I plan on moving that IBC into, I have a utility area I'm just sort of working on here beside the greenhouse. So we'll be moving all of this stuff here. Will actually be hidden back in that utility area, which I think will be absolutely fantastic. And that large in-ground garden bed, I'll be able to grow some fantastic, I'm thinking like corn, sunflowers, putting a huge big bean teepee as well. So I really have some big plans for that garden bed, and that will be the next one to be constructed. And then for those of you who are new here and don't actually know, I'm planning 3 large raised garden beds going this direction. So one here, and one here. And they'll all be constructed exactly the same as the other ones that we have, like the black timber. So they'll be constructed out of the black timber, and they'll probably be 3 rows high, 3 rows of timber high. So they'll be quite high, just because we have had some flooding in this area here. I want to put the blue metal down as a good base for any future flooding, and then build the garden beds up from that. But let's go and have a look at my pots over here. So this area here is basically, it's just high enough. I have had flooding through here, and the water actually just comes to the bottom of this shelf that you can see there on the camera. So all these plants are nice and high and dry. We have had quite a few of the landscaping plants have been put here that we want to use around our property. However, we actually haven't planted them as yet, just because our weather has been crazy, and any native plants that we have planted have all died. So for example, these ones here, Like I've got callistemon white Anzac. Now these ones do really well in our area. However, at the moment, if I was to try and plant these around our property, they would curl up and die just because we have so much moisture. They can't cope with it. So I purchased some tube stock, and that will obviously be towards landscaping as well. So I kind of use everything over here as either landscaping or just beautiful colour. Look at this. These daffodils are absolutely stunning. I'm a big lover of daffodils, so I think I have enough here to actually probably make another bouquet for in the house, which is exciting. So it's just a mixture of all daffodils, landscaping plants as well. Something like that gardenia. The gardenia obviously is for the landscaping here. This is a tree for, we have 2 of them, the other one's back there. They will be for either side of our garage. More landscaping, more daffodils. I got a few different varieties of daffodils this year, so it's very exciting. And this one here is my first ever daffodil replete, and it's gorgeous. Now we received quite a bit of rain yesterday, and as you can see, this is where our catchment empties out. The water travels down here, travels into that fence line, and continues on further down to a creek. They've got a large waterfall at the property next door, and all the water drains to there. And this is the ugly kind of utility area that I was talking about before. So I do plan on moving this IBC over to here. I'll have everything basically that's really like unsightly, all your garden tools, your composting, worm farms, all that will actually be put back into this section here and will be hidden, which will be so much nicer. And then the greenhouse obviously is still yet to be completely finished off. It's just something we work on weekends. So it's still a mess in this back corner, but I can see it all when it's finished in my head, so it should look lovely. So that's the tour of my cutting garden, my vegetable garden for August. I'm really happy with where it's at. I'm so happy to have some warmer weather where things are actually starting to grow. And just coming out of winter, it's so nice to have some signs of spring and the weather warming up. Things really do start to grow as soon as that sun comes out, even though it is freezing today. I'm really happy with where the garden's at this point in time. I know it's only halfway finished, but I have the vision in my head of what it's going to look like once it is finished, and I can't wait to show you. I really can't. And just little bit by little bit, you know, each week we try and get something else done and sort of climb towards that goal of getting it all finished. And, you know, then I do have plans to expand this garden itself, so you never know what might happen. I definitely think we should try and work on finishing this garden bed first before I look at garden expansion. So thank you so much for joining me on my August garden tour. I'm hoping to do a property tour as well very shortly, because we have had quite a bit of changes over the property, and I'd love to show those to you, so stay tuned for that one. However, thank you so much for joining me today, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing or like this video, because it really does help my channel. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.